The learning intent for this lesson will be to identify and calculate the measures of center, mean, median, and mode, and to analyze and interpret data sets. Our success criteria will be I can explain what the mean, median, and mode represents in a data set. I can accurately calculate the mean, median, mode from a set of numbers. I can choose the most appropriate measure of center to describe a data set. I can justify my choice using data. A measure of central tendency is a value that attempts to describe a set of data by identifying the central position of the set. The most commonly used measures of central tendency are the mean, median, and mode. While the mean and median are used to find the approximate center of a set of data, the mode is often used to find the most popular value in a data set. Notice that each red figure or portion is the middle, the center. That's what we're looking for when calculating the mean or median. The mean of a data set is the sum of the data divided by the number of data values. In this case, we have 4 data values, so we're dividing by 4. There's 2 symbols we use for mean. One of the 2 symbols is a Greek letter, which is mu, and the other one is x bar. The difference between x bar and mu is x bar is a sample mean, an estimated population, while mu is the population mean describing the full group. Why would we use a sample instead of actually using the total population? Imagine we wanted to know what every single person in the United States thinks about something, like your favorite pizza topping or how you feel about a new school rule. There are millions of people in the United States, and asking every single one would take forever and cost a ton of money. That's where something called a sample, X bar, comes in. A sample is a smaller group of people that represents the whole population. If we choose the sample carefully, we can learn a lot about what most people think without needing to ask everyone. It's kind of like tasting one bite of a cookie to know if the whole batch is good. Let's take it to the hard part. Let's compare player 1 and player 2 point averages. Player 1, first to find out what the mean of player 1's points are, all we have to do is add them all up and divide by how many. In this case, I entered the first value, 12, then the second value, 10, plus dot 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 plus the last value, 12. Now, this is a shortcut instead of writing all the numbers. Since we only have 5 numbers, this really doesn't make a big difference. But if we have 10, 20, 100, 1,000 of numbers, this would make a major difference because then you don't have to write all the numbers down. Again, it's always the first number plus the second number plus dot dot dot, that ellipsis, plus the last number divided by the total number of data values, which is 5 in this case. Go to your Desmo calculator. There's 2 ways of doing this. The first way would be to just start adding 12 plus 10 plus 15 plus 11 plus 12. This gives us 60, and we're going to hit enter. Now hit either the division symbol or the fraction symbol. I'll hit the fraction symbol. In the numerator, we're just going to hit this button called answer. That's going to pull this last answer to put that in the numerator. Or we could just write 60. But sometimes if the number is really long, you may not want to write it and you want to make sure it's the right number so you don't make that mistake. In our denominator, we'll input 5 because we have 5 values. And this gives us our answer of 12. The other way is just starting off with the fraction of divisions. In the numerator, we'll rewrite our data values and place that over 5. And this gives us the answer directly. So again, 60 over 5, which is 12. This player is averaging 12 points per game. Now let's take a look at player 2. 23, the first value, plus the second value, plus dot dot dot, plus the last value. This is going to give us 65 over 5, which gives us 13. Player 2 has the higher scoring average in the first 5 games. Now, one thing that kids really find useful with finding the average is because this is how most teachers typically calculate your grade. Let's find out this student's grade after the first 3 tests and then after the 4th test where they scored a 0. We're going to add 85 plus 90 plus 88 and divide that by 3. This gives us 263 divided by 3, which is 87.666666 repeated. We're going to round this off to the nearest hundreds place. We're going to look to the right, and we're going to say the same. 5 or more raise the score, 4 or less let it rest. Since that 6 is 5 or more, the 6 in the box will become 67, which is a B+. Now let's input that 0. Now we have 4 values, so our denominator is 4. This is now 263 divided by 4, and this is 65.75, which is a D. So this student went from a B plus to a D because maybe wasn't feeling well that day, maybe was mad, who knows, but they scored a 0. And that's how detrimental a 0 is to your grade. This person is a B plus student, and by getting this 1 0, their grade went straight down to a D. That's why it's really, really important that you always try your best. Even if you don't think you're going to do well, something is always better than nothing. This is almost a 22-point drop. Yikes. Now, let's say the person scored a 40. Wasn't so great, but they still tried. When we find the sum of the numerator, that's 303 divided by 4, 75.75, which is a C, which is more manageable to raise back up to a B or possibly even an A later on. It's really important that you always try your best. You might say, oh, but I still got an F, but this 40 means a lot more than the 0. The median is the middle value or the mean of the two middle values in a set of data when the data are arranged in numerical order. It doesn't matter if you write it from least to greatest or greatest to least. Most people write it from least to greatest. Notice here we have an odd set of data values, therefore we have one median. But in this case, we have an even set of data values, so we have two middle numbers. We find the mean of those two middle numbers, adding 5 plus 7, divide that by 2, which gives us 6. Now we can compare their medians. First, we're going to write it from least to greatest, 10, then 11, then 12, then another 12, then 15. The middle number is 12. The median, or sometimes we call it Q2, is 12. Let's find the median of player 2. The lowest number is 2, followed by 5, then 10, then 23, then 20. In this case, the middle number, or the median, is 10, also known as Q2. Player 1 now has the higher median. Who's the better scorer? And that, we may not be able to really fully understand this until we learn something else. And that's going to be in our next lesson, measures of variation. Let's say in game 6, player 1 scored 14 points and made 6 assists. What is the median number of points player 1 scored across all 6 games? So let's write it from least to greatest. 10, 11, 12, 12, 14, and now 15. We have two middle numbers, so we'll find the mean of those two middle numbers. This gives us 24 over 2. The median is 12. The median stayed the same. Now, the mean in this case, we're going to write the first value plus the second value plus ... plus the last value. This gives us 74 over 6, which is 12.333. We'll round to the nearest hundredth. Look to the right, and we'll say 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So in this case, since that 3, this 3 right here is 4 or less, this 3 will stay the same, giving us a 0.33 point game. The mode of a data set is the value or values that occur most often. Data can have one mode, more than one mode, or no mode at all. In this case, since the 15 repeats, they're represented twice in each data set. In this particular data set, 15 and 24 are the modes since they appear the most in the data set. What is the mode of the favorite video games listed above? When we take a look at this one, we can see that Minecraft and Fortnite were both listed 4 times. Roblox twice, Among Us once, Rocket League once. Since Minecraft and Fortnite both appear 4 times, and no other game appears more than that, Minecraft and Fortnite are the mode. This is a bimodal dataset since it has 2 modes. Same mean, different story. A real estate agent reported the average home prices of 2 very different neighborhoods in a newsletter to future buyers. But if the homes in these 2 areas are clearly not alike, how could the average mean prices be the same? When to use the mean or the median? Use the mean when the data is balanced and has no extreme values, outliers, like your test scores, where no 0 was scored. A 0 would be an outlier in this data set because all the grades are either A's or B's. You also want to use the mean when you want to include every value in your calculation. This is why teachers typically use the mean. To use the median, you want to use it when you do have outliers or extreme values. The data is skewed or lopsided, has a lot of values that are either high or low. The home prices of Calculator Cove are like so, while Outlier Oaks look like this. Let's find the mean of Calculator Cove. Add them all up, divide by how many, leaving us with 480,000, which is correct. Now for Outlier Oaks, we'll add them all up, divide by how many. This leaves us with 480,000 as well for our mean. To find our median, all we have to do is find the middle numbers. So I'm crossing out the highest and the lowest, and it leaves me with 2 numbers. we'll find the mean of those two middle numbers, which is 475, which is also correct. For outlier oaks, same thing. We're left with two middle numbers, so we'll have to find the mean of those two middle numbers, which is 280,000. What's the takeaway? In calculator code, the mean gives a good picture of the typical home value. In outlier oaks, the mean is misleading. It's dragged up by a luxury home. The median better reflects what most home values actually cost, especially when the data value is skewed by an outlier, the luxury home. The median gives a better idea of what's typical. In calculator code, the mean and the median are close, which suggests prices are fairly consistent and evenly spread. In outlier oaks, the mean is much higher than the median, meaning a few extremely expensive homes are skewing the average up. Similar to that zero, which skewed your grade up. Get it? Therefore, be careful when you have these extreme values, which we sometimes call outliers. You want to use the median to give you what's typical, what's actually happened. But if all the data values are pretty close together, then the mean is a great option. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.